Hello, my name is Kelley, and this is my presentation on two poems. First, Two Little Whos by E. Cummings, and second, Swan and Shadow by John Hollander. This week we are looking at poems that break tradition, and these two poems definitely do that. Edward Estlin Cummings, born October 1894, died September 1962, commonly known as E. Cummings, was an American poet, painter, essayist, author, and playwright. He was born in Massachusetts, and his father was a Harvard professor. He began writing poetry daily at age 8. Cummings earned both a bachelor's and a master's degree from Harvard University. Cummings wrote approximately 2,900 poems. He is often regarded as one of the most important American poets of the 20th century. He is associated with modernist free-form poetry, and much of his work uses idiosyncratic syntax and lowercase spellings for poetic expression. As well as being influenced by notable modernists including Gertrude Stein and Ezra Pound, Cummings was particularly drawn to early imagist experiments. Later, his visits to Paris exposed him to Dada and Surrealism, which was reflected in his writing style. A number of Cummings' poems feature his typographically exuberant style, with words, parts of words, or punctuation symbols scattered across the page. This led to a quality of feeling is first, and the works beg to be reread in order to be understood. Cummings, also a painter, created his texts not just as literature but as visual objects on the page and used typography to paint a picture. Cummings also did not always follow English grammar and would have intentional misspellings to indicate dialect. Since both poems I am presenting are short, I thought it would be nice to do a quick reading of each followed by the analysis. Two Little Whos. Two little whos, he and she, under our this wonderful tree, smiling stand, all realms of where and when beyond, now and here. Far from grown, up I and you, full world of known, who and who. Two little ams, and over them this, aflame with dreams, incredible is. The poem's central claim is that childhood love exists in a state of being that adults, with their categories and certainties, can barely recognize. Cummings names the pair not as people with roles, histories, or achievements, but as two little whos. That word makes them feel like questions rather than fixed identities. They are alive, present, and irreducible. The tone is tender and lightly awed, as if the speaker has stumbled upon something simple that turns out to be rare. The two children stand under a tree. This is their own little world. They are happy and smiling. They are far away from the grown-up world where everything is known. They have innocence and, most importantly, dreams and possibilities. This is a poem about youth and innocence, and also a slight critique on what is lost in adulthood. Discussion question. How does the poem's form affect its message? What makes it so unique is its complete abandon of tradition. Although it does have a rhyme scheme, it does not follow English grammar rules. It requires a reader to analyze each line, each word, for meaning. For example, who is the who Cummings is referring to? By forcing the reader to deep analyze his poem, I believe Cummings is able to create a deeper connection with his audience. Next, we will discuss Swan and Shadow by John Hollander. First, let's talk a bit about who John Hollander was. Born in October of 1929 and died in August of 2013, John Hollander was an American poet and literary critic. At the time of his death, he was Sterling Professor of English at Yale University, having previously taught at Connecticut College, Hunter College, and CUNY Graduate Center. He was born in New York to Jewish immigrant parents. He attended Columbia University with his mentor, fellow poet Allen Ginsberg. He went on to receive a master's and a PhD from Indiana University. Some interesting facts about John Hollander. He enjoyed judging local high school poetry contests in Connecticut and teaching young poets. He made money writing liner notes for music records. And his nephew is award-winning songwriter Sam Hollander, who has 23 U.S. top 40 hits, and his music has topped the charts worldwide, earning 14 number 1 hits, 67 top 5 hits, and 111 top 10 hits globally. So if you just look him up, you will recognize his songs. So let's talk about the poem. Sun and Shadow. Dusk. Above the water hang the loud flies here, oh so gray. Then what? A pale signal will appear. When? Soon, before its shadow fades. Where? Here, in this pool of opened eye. In us? No, upon us as at the very edges of where we take shape in the dark air. This object bears its image awakening, ripples of recognition that will brush darkness up into light. Even after this bird, this hour, both drift by atop the perfect sad instant now, already passing out of sight toward yet untroubled reflection. This image bears its object darkening into memorial shades, scattered bits of light. No, of water or something across water, breaking up, no, being regathered. Soon, yet by then a swan will have gone. Yes, out of mine into what vast, pale hush of a place past, sudden dark as if a swan sang. The poem reflects on the themes of identity, reflection, and transformation, and explores the ways in which our perceptions of the world are shaped by our own experiences and perspectives. The poem was written during the 20th century, a period of profound social, cultural, and political upheaval in the United States and around the world. The poem reflects on the ways in which our perceptions of ourselves and the world around us can shift and transform over time, and the importance of embracing change and growth. The poem itself is an example of concrete poetry, which we learn about this week. From this week's reading, concrete poetry is a unique literary form where the arrangement of words creates a visual image that relates to the poem's theme, merging the boundaries between visual art and poetry. The poem itself is a depiction of a swan on water and its shadow. To me, this poem is about identity and change. So for the discussion question, do you think there is a hidden meaning in the last line, sudden dark as if a swan sang? So my answer would be yes. I believe this is a reference to a swan song, which is described as a metaphor for a final performance, effort, or gesture made just before retirement, death, or the end of a career. It signifies a last, often brilliant act. So that concludes my presentation on the tradition-breaking poems of Two Little Words by E.E. Cummings and Swan and Shadow by John Hollander. I hope you learned something and enjoyed these poems as much as I did. Thank you.